AP has not seen this. So once he sees this powerful argumentation by Mohammed Hijab, it's possible that AP would actually convert back to Islam tonight.
Believing in worshiping in one God. Already when you believe in that, it sieves all of the other major world religions, because the way in which there's respectable monotheism, believing in one God, is the most consistent and best explanation with the highest explanatory and justifiable scope. That explains, number one, our existence. Number two, the purpose of life. So the idea of tawheed is actually the strongest evidence.
One quick way to test whether a Muslim takes this argument seriously, say, okay, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said there's one God. You believe in him? Or you can make it very simple. Say, okay, I say right now, I'm a prophet, and I'm saying that there's only one God, and we have to worship one God alone, and I'm his prophet. Are you going to believe me? The response is going to be, of course we don't believe you, because that will contradict Muhammad. Is aha. So proclaiming belief in one God is not the criterion. Muhammad is somehow the criterion. And if someone else claimed, I'm a prophet because I'm saying there's one God, not only would you not believe that man as a prophet just because he says there's one God, you would not consider it any evidence whatsoever. In other words, if I said, hey, I'm a true prophet right now, I'm a true prophet and I say there's one God, we all need to worship that one God. How much evidence would Mohammed Hijab, Ali Dawah, any of these guys think that is for me being a prophet? The answer is absolutely none. They would not think that is any evidence that I'm a true prophet. They would not think that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad saying there's one God is even slight evidence that they should believe in Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. They would not think it's evidence of anything.
Number two, look at the character and the prophet of the Prophet ﷺ. When you look at his life, you realize that the man was authentic through and through. And so when you start to realize that this was the receptacle of the message of Islam, the final message, that itself acts as evidence.
Muhammad's character. AP, seriously, I'm totally serious here. What could you say in defense of Muhammad's character? In other words, if Mohammed Hijab were here and we said, hey, what are you actually talking about with his character? That means that he must be a prophet. His character is so amazing, you can trust him when he claims to be a prophet. It's going to have to be something like, oh, but he said, help take care of orphans and widows. And we'd be at the same thing we were with for the monotheism argument. Okay, what about these millions and millions of other people who said, take care of orphans and widows? What about those? Is that any evidence that they're prophets? No, zero. What about this guy who claims to be a prophet and he also emphasized helping orphans and widows? Is that guy a prophet? No. Well, how much evidence is that guy doing that nice thing? How much evidence is it that he's a prophet? Zero. Name anything you could point to in the character of Muhammad that would be proof that he's a prophet that you could not say about other people in a much higher degree. Narrated Aisha that the prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old, and he did his marriage when she was 9 years old, and then she remained with him for 9 years, i.e. till his death. So, according to Mohammed Hijab, Muhammad must be a prophet because of his character. And one of the most glaring aspects of his character is that he with a 9-year-old girl and told his followers they can do the same. They get to do the same thing. All right, AP, do you regard this as a powerful evidence that Muhammad is a true prophet?
Yeah, I would say it's probably one of the best, most powerful arguments ever.
Yeah, I have to agree.
But then you have so many different things.
So many.
We talked about preservation.
Preservation. I don't know what he said about preservation, but you obviously can't mean perfect preservation anymore, since you, Mohammed Hijab, more than any other Muslim, helped destroy that claim. You didn't do it on purpose because you have any respect for the truth. You did it because you were stupid enough to think that Sheikh Yasser Qadhi is going to offer a good explanation, and he didn't. He admitted that there are holes in the narrative. Dawah guys lied. Perfect preservation right down to the letter. Not one letter's difference between any two Qurans in the history of Islam. It was total nonsense. They argued perfect preservation. If you go to the Muslim sources, they talk about entire chapters of the Quran coming up missing because people forgot them. They talk about large passages coming up missing because the only people who had them memorized died in battle. They talk about verses coming up missing because Aisha's sheep ate them and so on. So you had all those kinds of issues. That's just when you read the Muslim sources. You can read in the Muslim sources about all kinds of disputes that people were having. Muhammad's own companions couldn't even agree on which chapters were supposed to be in the Quran. So you had issues like that. Then you've got the entire manuscript tradition where you could put pages side by side. Dan Brubaker made a video where he put just He showed one page of one Quran manuscript and it had 11 textual variants, 11 differences with what you would read in the Quran today. So you can look at manuscripts and see that it's false. You can also look at Qurans around the world that are still in use. You can look at the Hafs version, the Warsh version, the Dori version. You find different versions of the Quran that have different words, different letters and so on, and mean different things. Some of them even have contradictions in them. I just did a show recently with Jai Apologetics and Daughter of Christ, and we talked about one of the interesting ones between the different Qira'at. And so you go to some versions of the Quran, and it says that Lot's wife left with her family, but then she looked back, and that's what happened. And you have others that say she never left with him; she stayed back. Well, guess what? That's a contradiction between two different versions of the Quran. She either stayed or she went out. But he has here lack of contradictions. When you're talking about contradictions in the Quran, you can mean different things. Like I just mentioned, the one with Lot's wife, that's a contradiction between two different versions of the Quran. So that's not an internal contradiction within one Quran. It's, you can take this Quran, it contradicts this other Quran. And that's actually relevant because once the cat was out of the bag that there are different Qurans in different parts of the world, they started saying, but these all go back to Allah and they complement each other. Well, what do you mean complement each other? You mean contradict? Because that's what's actually happening. So you've got those kind of contradictions, but then you have contradictions within the text. Surah 2, verse 37. Then Adam received some words from his Lord, so he turned to him mercifully. Surely he is oft returning to mercy, the merciful. AP, was Adam a Muslim according to Islam? Adam's a Muslim. Surah 3, verse 67. Ibrahim, so Abraham was not a Jew or a Christian, but he was an upright man, a Muslim, and he was not one of the polytheists. Adam was a Muslim. Abraham was a Muslim. Surah 6, verse 14. Say, shall I take a guardian besides Allah, the originator of the heavens and the earth, and he feeds others and is not himself fed? Say, I am commanded to be the first, this is Muhammad, I am commanded to be the first of him who submits himself, and you should not be of the polytheists. I am commanded to be the first who submits himself. That's the first Muslim. Muslim means one who submits. Muhammad's the first. Chapter 6, verse 163. No associate has he, and this I commanded, and I am the first of those who submit. First one. Chapter 7, verse 143. And when Musa came at our appointed time, and his Lord spoke to him, he said, this is Moses, my Lord, show me thyself, so that I may look upon thee. He said, you cannot bear to see me, but look at the mountain. If it remains firm in its place, then you will see me. But when his Lord manifested his glory to the mountain, he made it crumble, and Musa fell down in a swoon. Then when he recovered, he said, glory be to thee, I turn to thee, and I am the first of the believers.
Such a stupid narrative, by the way.
First believers. And in 26, you have some Egyptians here, and they say, surely we hope that our Lord will forgive us our wrongs because we are the first of the believers. So
I find it so funny that everyone in the Quran always talks and reacts exactly like Muhammad would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you're talking about...
Oh, surely, Moses said, like, oh, surely I am the first of those who submit, of the believers.
Yeah, different cultures, different languages, different countries, different continents, and everyone speaks exactly like a 7th century Arabian Muhammad. So the way to reconcile these passages, so all these people are Muslims. All these people are Muslims. And yet you have repeatedly, I'm the first one. So Adam's the first Muslim. Abraham's the first Muslim. Moses is the first Muslim. Muhammad's the first Muslim. These are all the first ones. The way that Muslims try to reconcile these things is to say, oh, but Muhammad's the first one there in Arabia or something like that. Well, that doesn't make any sense because Abraham and Ishmael were both in Arabia and so on. So how's that? And they taught people the true religion and had them following Islam, right? And then it was later corrupted and so on. So how is Muhammad the first? So they have to say something like, he was, he's the first, like what, just of his generation or something like that. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, Moses is the first to believe. So if you want to say like, oh, Muhammad's the first of his people to believe. Okay, well, that would work for that one, I guess, as long as you ignore all the other stuff about, Abraham and Ishmael and all that stuff. The first of his people. Let's pretend, just for argument's sake. Was Moses the first of his people to believe?
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. He's in the line of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and so on. He's in the same line with those guys. So anyway, the point is that just absolutely makes no sense whatsoever.
There's a challenge from Islam to other people to produce something like it, which is it's a falsification test, effectively.
Well, guess what? People have been doing that since the time of Muhammad. There was a guy in Mecca, Al-Nadir. When Muhammad would recite his new revelation, it says, it's right there in Ibn Ishaq, Al-Nadir would stand up after him and say, and recite some of his own verses and say, how is Muhammad's story better than mine? What is that? He's challenging the Muslim community. Muslim community, you said he's got the best stuff. I'm saying, how is his stuff better than mine? He said something, I said something. Tell me how Muhammad's is better. What's he doing? He's meeting this falsification test. What did the Muslims do to Al-Nadir? They captured him at the Battle of Badr and killed him. They ransomed other people, they killed him. They did not want this guy running around saying, oh, Muhammad's revelations actually suck and I can do better. The satanic verses. Satan delivered verses of the Quran. Muhammad thought they were from Allah. So according to that, Satan can make verses that sound exactly like the Quran, even to Muhammad. I think there's a website called suralikeit.com or something like that, where people have made multiple surahs like this. There's an entire book called The True Furqan, which is like a Christian version of the Quran. It's written in the style of the Quran, but it's Christian.
Have predictions of Islam,
things which
we claim, and obviously we cannot cover this in a short space of time, that have been predicted of the future. Like, for example, the state of the economies of the future.
The state of the economies of the future. He predicted it.
Yeah, he did indeed. He did indeed. You know what he said? You know what he said? Money will be so abundant.
There's a bunch of those. There's a bunch of those hadiths. Money's going to be so abundant that people are like, gold is going to be like treated like a rock and so on because people are so rich. Everyone's so rich. Everyone.
We got everything. So there's no poverty. Everyone is rich. First off, that's not possible. That's just not possible. That's not how it works.
That's correct.
Yeah. That is simply not possible. Everyone can't be wealthy. Everyone can't be rich. It is not possible. It does not work. However, also, what kind of a stupid prediction is that? And how in the world does that come true? Is that true right now? Is it true right now that that people all around the world are just doing so well, are all just so wealthy?
Does it even look like we're on that? So you've got improvements and so on. You've got improvements in quality of life and so on. But is it anywhere on the horizon if Mohammed Hijab is talking about predicting the future economies of the world? Future economies of the world is that gold is going to be a joke because it's so plentiful. There's so much money to go around. No one, like everyone is filthy rich.
Money will be
so happen?
In abundance so that nobody will accept charitable gifts, for example. This is what Muhammad predicted. Yeah.
Yes, powerful prediction.
My favorites is that Muhammad. So a group of people comes by and they come to Muhammad and they ask him, "Oh Muhammad, oh Prophet of Allah, when will the hour come? When is the hour?" And Muhammad says he stands there a little bit. Then he looks at a boy in their presence, a young boy. He says, "Before this young boy, if he lives, before this young boy grows very old, the hour will be established." From this, it is understood, and the hadith was also regarded as a end of the world hadith, as a hadith that actually talks about the last hour, the day of judgment. It was understood that he actually meant that before this boy grows very old, before the death of this boy, so within a lifespan of that boy, the last hour would come and the world would end permanently, forever. That will be the end. David, do you think that happened?
No.
That boy is probably not alive anymore.
Yeah.
He probably died back then. And the world did not end. The hour did not come.